I was definitely a Dodger fan for like a week and a half.
Wait, say that again?
I was definitely a Dodger fan for like a week and a half against the Yankees.
Wait, one more time?
Game 1, like when Freddie hit the homer, that was actually a beautiful memory because
your memory?
Because I had like just got home to my apartment at Syracuse, and my apartment's just full of like one of my roommates is a Yankee fan, so it's just full of Yankee fans. There's like 6 like guys all in Yankees gear, and I got in during the 9th inning, and bases are loaded, and they bring in Nestor Cortez, and like I don't want to be like a dick in front of them, but like I'm like, wow, it'd be awesome if Freddie hit a walk-off homer right now, and just first pitch gone off the bat. That was like a nuke. It was like frozen rope, like dead silence after that. Like I think I whipped out my phone right away and just like started recording them, and they're all just like,
yeah. Oh, I can't wait to see that.
Dead silent.
As always, our episodes are presented by Legends Addict. They have amazing events coming up, and please follow along. We have so much more content and interviews and just cool things that we did at Fanatics. Stay up to date with Instagram, follow us along. There's going to be such cool events coming up, and we're going to be there.
And I know a really cool one after the All-Star break, so definitely stay tuned on all of our pages and use our code when you're going to the Dodger game next, Talk Dodgers, for $20 off on SeatGeek. And now to the episode.
Like, subscribe, comment, press those buttons.
Yes. Thanks, Katie.
I don't know what I'm talking about.
I just want somebody to talk Dodgers to me.
Did you like your little Cindy Meyer tour through the town I grew up in on our way to my aunt's house?
Yeah, I mean, the last time I heard stories about this, you were running to make sure that the for sale sign was ripped out of the grass. So it was really nice to see the home that you did that at.
Not my finest moment, but so many amazing memories there, and it was hard to leave.
Well, I get it. After being here and like listening to your, I mean, there's so many fun memories. In my mind, I'm like, do we ask if you can get married there? Yeah, I figured
actually,
it was
Aunt Titi has a really nice backyard. You see this?
I mean, and going down those stairs.
I know.
All right, we're manifesting. Well, welcome back to Talk Dodgers to Me. I am Melissa Meyer.
And I'm Jacqueline Ruiz.
And this is such a special episode because we are at my Aunt Theresa's house in New Jersey, where I grew up, and we are with my Aunt Theresa and my Uncle John. They are my dad's youngest siblings. My dad was one of 8, and we're in Mets territory right now, Jack.
Oh, and I feel it.
How are you feeling?
I mean, no, it's actually so wonderful to meet you guys. I've heard so much about it and about you guys and the love of baseball. And I'm really curious to hear about all of these different sports teams that have come through your family and the passion. Because really, in the end, it's always bigger than baseball. It's always bigger than the game.
Mm-hmm. And it always is for me. And I love baseball from my family. And Adam and Jacqueline got a little bit of an ease into this by going to Uncle John's restaurant, Piccolo in Ridgewood. How fun was that?
I mean, we ended with a dance party.
And delicious. I got my chicken franchise, right, Uncle John?
Absolutely.
But let's take it back. You both grew up with Grandma and Grandpa, who were diehard Phillies and Eagles fans, but
Correct.
it trickled its way down to you guys becoming Mets fans. So tell me just about what it was like in that household. I've heard lots of stories, but what was sports like growing up?
Very present. Always. Whether it was your own little league or whatever it was that you're playing that my father would coach, to whatever sporting event was on. But because he was a Philly fan, it wasn't on TV.
Oh.
So my memories is my father getting ready for the Phillies to come on the radio, and he kept the transistor radio on top of the refrigerator next to his beanbag ashtray and his little plastic drink that he would put red wine in, and it was a little plastic cup. He never used a wine glass. And that's and then the game would come on and he would turn it on and pace the house.
Wow.
But it wasn't as much on the television as
Like the soundtrack
It
and
is
listening.
like at my house now. But I really don't know how I never gravitated towards the Phillies.
That was going to
Because
be my
Robert-
question because it feels
Raymond,
like
Robert, Jerry, and my father, diehard Phillies. I mean, Jerry with Mike Schmidt. I mean, it was just like that was his like diehard, where Rusty Staub was mine.
But didn't you start really liking the Mets because of Uncle John and his love of the Mets?
I mean, I don't really remember exactly how it happened, but I do think that that's like I just started paying more attention to the Mets because John was paying attention, and it's like, wow, I really like this team.
All right, so how did it start for you?
You know, I actually spent one season as a Yankees fan.
What?
Yeah, it's 72, and I liked the Yankees and Bobby Mercer, and I liked the Yankees jingle that they play before they started I was very young. But in 1973, the Mets went to the World Series. But they used to play the playoff games in the afternoons. Okay, so one day I came home from school, and the Mets were playing the Cincinnati Reds. And it was at Shea Stadium, and Rusty Staub had hit 2 home runs, and they were winning. But there was a collision at second base during a double play between Pete Rose and Bud Harrelson. And Pete Rose literally picked up Bud Harrelson and threw him.
Oh, wow.
And the crowd was going nuts. Wow. And both benches emptied. It was a brawl. I mean, and it was a real brawl. Somebody got punched. And people
gosh.
And the crowd, this is New York City, 1973. Okay. Back then, people would bring their radios to listen to the game while it was, and they had D batteries. They were big radios, and they weren't like what they have now. People were throwing these D batteries, which are like rocks, onto the field at the Cincinnati Red players.
wow.
And they had to pull both teams off the field. And the Mets, who were winning this playoff game, were about to forfeit. And Tom Seaver, Willie Mays, and the Mets manager, Yogi Berra, walked around the field deploring the fans to stop. And like, this was so much drama. I mean,
That's way worse than the Padres Dodgers going on.
I'm a 9-year-old kid, and this is after school. My mom has the game on the TV, and I'm just like, I was just so enthralled with this, and then I
I mean, the legendary names you're dropping throughout this story are just like, what? And like, that is the beauty of baseball, because it's like, I have zero connection to that, but just growing up with it in my life and hearing these names and just imagining as a little kid, like them doing what they're, yeah, like how does it not grab you?
Yeah.
So I was hooked.
And Pete Rose and Bud Harrelson were... They did not like each other.
Pete was a big fella.
Yeah.
He was like short, stocky, and Bud was a shortstop. He was a prototypical 1970s all fielding, no hit shortstop, because it was such an important defensive position that they would say, that's what it was, and Harrelson was great at it.
What did Uncle Ray and my dad and Uncle Jerry and Grandma and Grandpa think about you guys becoming Mets fans?
I don't remember anybody really caring. It was just like they were just like so dominant that it was just like, yeah, the Mets are, we don't care.
Yeah, what do you remember about that?
Well, I'm talking 1973, but then a few years later, Tom Seaver got traded away, and the Mets went through some pretty bad years. So it was more like, and the Phillies were good. The Phillies went to the Phillies won the division a bunch of times. They had Greg Luzinski and Mike Schmidt and Steve Carlton. They had a good team.
So tell me, was it, okay, so there's times where the Dodgers have always done well, but that they weren't necessarily winning the World Series and all the things, like they are right now. But I love baseball, that like even in October baseball, like I can get into the games because it's just such good baseball. Did you guys stay true to the Mets, or was it easy because the people around you and the Phillies were good and it was good baseball? Was it easy to kind of soften to them a little?
Well, I always stay true to the Mets, but I'm also going to watch a good baseball game. So, and it didn't really matter to me. Of course, if the Phillies were in it, I would root for the Phillies if the Mets were out of it because, I lived in that house. But
Let's talk about grandma for a second. I have such fond memories growing up in our house on Long Ridge Road with, the 3 TVs that all our listeners know about, the urinal that my dad installed, my dad in his chair, grandpa in his chair downstairs, and then grandma upstairs with my mom, baking and yelling at the TV. So not everyone has a grandmother that loves sports so much that in her obituary, we noted that she had a crush on Aaron Judge.
yes, yep.
Love
And
that.
he hit a home run the first time we took her to a Yankee game and I think it's the first time I ever stepped foot in Yankee Stadium, but I'm not really 100% sure about that. But he hit a home run and it was like all
Wow.
for her. You remember that. I mean, it was all, she's like, he did this for me.
I remember that day, yeah. Aaron, in that small, because Yankee Stadium has this small right field, right? It's a short porch out there. Aaron Judge looks like he's 14 feet tall out there.
He does.
I know.
I think he might be.
He's so big.
Yeah, he's so big.
I don't
and
think
in
I-
that little right field, the perspective is that it's a giant. It's not really a human being.
And grandma was so tiny. But I don't think I've ever shared with our listeners that grandma also wrote sports and she went by Terry instead of Teresa for a long time. So they would think she was a man.
Yeah, that was such a cool story when you
Right?
told me that. Yeah.
And I know that I remember calling you Aunt TT one day. Oh, and I call her Aunt TT since I was a kid. I know I'm in my 30s, but whatever. And you were telling me how she had a media pass and she took you guys to, it was Shea Stadium at the time.
Yes.
So what was that like to have,
It
as
was
of your
very
mom?
cool. It was very cool. It was like just stick close to her, and she'd have this thing around her, and she was like so big and important, well, tiny and important. And I mean, she flaunted every ounce of that. But just to be there, and it was like my birthday present, and I could see Rusty Stop up close.
Wow.
It was that was really something.
How do you guys feel now, kind of seeing Melissa somewhat follow in her footsteps in some weird connection of now we're kind of doing the media thing? And how does that on the East Coast, looking back at your niece doing it on the West Coast?
I think it's wonderful. I love this career that she has. I don't love the team that she loves, but I think it's pretty amazing to turn this love into a career is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
I definitely get a lot of heat for becoming a Dodger fan. And a lot of people ask me because my dad was such a diehard Phillies fan. But I think that he would think it's really cool that I found a team that I love as much as he did. And,
Absolutely.
at this point, we just passed the 20-year anniversary of his death. So I find this so fitting to be doing this episode with you guys. It's something I've thought of and dreamed of doing since I started this. So even to hear about, grandma Philly fan, but loved Aaron Judge on the Yankees. You guys
Right.
love the Mets. It's not so crazy that
I
I moved to
think
LA
she was
and
a
became a Dodger
closeted Yankee fan for a long time and kept her mouth shut.
Well, now I know Uncle John
That's
out
true.
here.
I know.
One too.
I know.
And you're like, what? And I'm like, what? You were a Yankee fan and now you're a Dodger fan. You
Okay,
should
fine.
resonate with it.
I don't tell the listeners that.
Sorry.
Well, LA, you moved to LA. That's a pretty good excuse.
What do you think my dad would think about this?
He would love it. Of course he would love it. And you seem so happy. So that's the thing he would love about it the
Right.
most.
And he would be telling everybody, he would be shouting it from the rooftops everywhere he would go.
Yeah,
They
she
still
says
had the paper store or Davy's Locker or wherever it was, he would be, talking it up.
she says he was such a jokester, and so like when little things happen that it's like just someone sending something from above, and she's like, I think that was my dad.
Yeah.
And it's just so funny because it's just I'm like, he's definitely here right now, looking down.
Oh, yeah. And when we got to go on ESPN radio for the first time, that was so cool. And it's like thinking of my dad going in the bathroom, shutting the door, calling into the fan, talking sports with them. And to be doing that, it's a lot of highs and kind of lows at the same time. But, I just want to make everybody proud.
Well, you have. Yeah.
He definitely is, along with everybody.
And we're actually all going to a Mets game. The only day, July 1st, I am a Mets fan in honor of Justin, who our listeners know about. And that's a great tradition we all have. And we have the brick, and Justin has a brick at City Field.
Justin has a brick at City Field. That's the replica, thanks to Katie.
Mm-hmm.
Katie worked very hard to get that brick. Very hard to get that brick.
I get to
And
see it for the first
we
time.
thought we lost it. And she didn't give up. And a couple days later, she got an email and jumped right on it and got me a replica and Danielle a replica, Justin's wife.
So you're telling me this like go getter, put your mind to it, gonna get it done, runs in the family? Because I say that all the time about her. I'm like,
Yep.
yeah, you keep telling me what you're gonna do because you do it, and it's like I'm in awe of watching her just go into rooms and when she has her mind to something and what she sticks to. And yeah, it's been a really beautiful journey, and we connect so much on family and what that means. And so I'm very excited to be here and meeting you guys and hearing all about it.
Right? And the brick is great. Justin has season tickets forever.
Absolutely. I think it's time to bring in Katie.
Oh.
All right.
We're subbing Uncle John for now. Bringing in Katie.
That's a poor choice.
Let's come.
Oh, I thought I was done.
No, you're
you're
here.
in.
You're staying, Aunt
Okay.
TT.
Oh. Cool. Hi, I'm in.
Yeah. Hi.
Hi.
Probably the biggest Met fan of our family.
No. Me?
Yes.
This is
Katie
my cousin Katie.
No. Hi, everybody.
Teresa is her mom.
It's fact. It's true.
Fact.
Justin is her brother.
He's my brother, yeah.
She also,
True.
my mom's
godmother's in the
goddaughter.
room. Yep.
Aw.
Also, Michael and Josh are siblings as well.
Yes. Yeah.
We'll
all
mic
true.
them up on July 1st.
But Josh is not a Met fan. Katie, Michael, myself,
isn't-
Josh.
He's not that into baseball, right? He's like a
He's
football
not
guy.
into.
He
He's
didn't
into
get it.
college sports and
He didn't
whatever
really
he's
get
coaching.
Yeah, whatever bug we all have, he didn't get that baseball bug.
Well,
that
we have somewhat turned his children into. We try to turn his children into Mets fans.
Working on it. Katie,
It's not going well.
I don't know if I've ever asked you about you growing up and starting to love sports. What are like your early memories of getting into the Mets? Because yeah, you're diehard.
Yeah, no, for sure. But we're also like a sports family. Like we grew up just around sports and just playing sports and being involved. I wasn't like a big Mets fan from like the day I was born, but as I got older, the Mets were not great in like the 90s.
I just always remember you guys saying the Mets suck. Like whenever I would talk to Justin about things, he would just say the Mets suck, and I'd be like, "Well, why do you guys keep
They
rooting
never
for
really
them?
had a winning
Because all you do
season.
is complain about
But
them."
they're our team, and so we have to love
So
them.
part of being a Mets fan is
And Dad
it
loved
is-
them.
It is the most character building fan you can be.
Totally.
Because you just keep going back when they just keep beating you down. I have a lot, probably more like heartbreaking memories than I have of like true joyous memories of the Mets. But I think,
There's a Cubs fan sitting in the audience.
yeah.
So
No, that's fair. That's fair. You get it.
point that out.
You get the
Yes.
character building aspect of being a fan of like a team that isn't great. And so my
But
first,
we love them anyway.
also Jets fans.
Yes.
I'm also a big Jets fan. So
We're
I'm
gluttons
fully
for
in
punishment.
on the character building nature of being a fan.
No, there's a whole podcast in the who has the worst experience as a fan base, and the Mets Jets combo is might be
It's up there. It's up there.
top of the cake.
I've
Yeah.
often thought of myself as yes,
Yeah. It's a character building. Like
Suffering.
I'm a better person. I don't give up on things because I just keep going back. Some might call that crazy. I just say it's character building.
That's
you know?
so great.
That's a good way to
But
spin
how
it.
do you
I'm
give
just
up
a
on
little-
your team? You just don't
You
ever
don't.
go.
Well,
then
and
there's
I
that
think
time
you
of
guys,
year.
you almost had it worse because, I mean, every MLB fan other than Yankee fans really had it hard for a while because Yankee fans were just like dominating everything. And so, but I can imagine being so close to that is like you almost get it that much worse.
Yeah.
I like to think it's like the Clippers in LA, like, or, you know, even the Angels. It's like you're not quite the Dodgers and you're not quite the Lakers. Yeah.
No, but and so I think one of my biggest first memories is the Subway Series, World Series in 2000 when the Yankees won. But I have always liked an underdog. So I think that was kind of the first time that I really was like, I'm in on this team. And I was probably, like 9 or 10 at that point. And then I've been to Shea Stadium a few times, not a ton, but like watching like Armando Benitez and like Aaron Heilman and like they weren't great, you know? And then your years in 2006 and 2007 when it was supposed to be our years and we epically collapsed, you're like, this is hard. Beating this is hard. But then our run in 2015 is definitely kind of a highlight. And I think when John started getting like the 20 game packs and the more season tickets, I mean, we used to go to a lot more games than we do even now, but we used to go to a lot of games.
We did.
And for me, I think the experience of going to Citi Field, like a cold beer on a summer night in the stadium, there's nothing like it in the world.
Girl, talk dirty to me.
Yeah.
It's talk Dodgers to
Oh,
me.
sorry.
But I'm telling you, it is the best experience. And there's something about big city sports, like New York sports, that they're going to scream as much as they're going to cheer. Like it's a volatile environment all the time, but there's something so beautiful about it. And I think kind of growing up in the New York area, like we're all a little rough, you know, like that's just the essence of New York. So I kind of love it a little bit. So there's something really beautiful about it. I wouldn't say I was the biggest Met fan until more into my like teens and then my early 20s. When we started going to a lot of games together, it really made all the difference for me.
Justin was the big wanting to go to the games and got everybody between John and Justin. They had the 20 game packs and they had the.
Correct me if I'm wrong on this. The 2015 season when we went to the World Series, I think it was like June or July that we all kind of looked at each other and were like, whoa, this team's going to be good. Right. And they were like offered the 20 game pack and we bought it so that we could have postseason access. I remember.
Yes.
Yeah. So we all kind of
remember
made that
we
decision.
went to the stadium with Justin and we went because you and Justin had both found out like if we get these then we have access.
Yeah, and so we sat. The 2015 postseason is probably some of my best memories, even though it was heartbreaking at times too. Like watching them lose the World Series is not the best, but I was in the stadium. I watched them lose the World Series. But it's also the most electric environment I've ever been in my life.
It's amazing.
It
How
is
did you
to
feel about
go.
her becoming a Dodger fan?
I think there's something beautiful about the community of sports. And if you can find that community of people, like immediately when someone's wearing a Mets hat, I feel a connection to that person. Like, I don't know them, but like if I'm out at a bar or something, I'm like, oh, nice hat. Or like if somebody's wearing like an Ike Davis shirt, I'm like, oh, cool. Like Ike Davis, like that's cool. Like there's a connection there. So I feel like the community that's involved in baseball is one of the most, and any sport really, but there's something so beautiful about it. So to be able to find that connection, I think anywhere is so super important. And it's really hard to be a minority in like, if you were a Mets fan in LA, it's going to be way harder. Like, it's nice that you found a community of people in your city that are like, you're surrounded by that group. It's just, it's nice.
Well, I kind of had to build a community to find people to talk about the Dodgers with. Because for me, you know, yes, we have this amazing baseball connection with our family, and I love that. But it's also an escape for me. When I'm at my lowest points or I'm sad or I'm going through something hard, I watch highlights of games. That's what I do. And you know, I think when Justin died, baseball was such a connection between me and him, and we would text back and forth, and he'd watch a Dodger game just to see if he could find me. Right. And he'd think he found me, and I'd just go along with it, just you know, to make him happy. And I think I escaped into baseball more than ever when Justin died, and then 6 months later when Nene died, she was helping me start a podcast. So it's almost like I took both of those things and used that as fuel to do this for me, but also like for all of you in a way. And now it's really cool because we all have the baseball connection, but I'm building the Dodger community to share this with and share every piece of this, that we all love this game, but it's always more than baseball.
And it's always more than
It's
baseball.
cool too, though, because we're not going to agree on a lot of things. Because
and I think we're good about not going too far.
No.
Where we'll really get into a fight.
It's also sports. Like, it's not like, it's important, and it's important to me, but at the same time, like, in the NLCS last year, we were not the better team. I knew that. Like, I'm not going to fight with you and be like, we were better. No, we weren't.
But we weren't like going crazy in the family group chat.
No.
We were respectful.
I thought it was a very good series, and I wasn't even as disappointed that the Mets didn't win as I would have been, because I thought it was a good series. And because the Mets played the Dodgers so much better than the Yankees, in my opinion.
Yeah,
That-
definitely.
So much better.
Yeah,
So much better.
I think the connection there is stronger than anything else, but
Right.
it's also fun just to be able to talk baseball, and
Right.
like that part of it is
I
really
agree.
cool too. So
I agree.
and it keeps
And it
that
would be
connection.
boring if everybody agreed on the same thing.
Yeah.
Like I like the back and forth. I like giving somebody a hard time about their team or whatever. Even though most of the time I don't even know what I'm talking about, but I love doing
And
that.
it'll be cool too. Like the Mets hope to get back to the NLCS again. Right now,
Yeah.
doesn't look great, but that's typical of the
Right.
Mets. But like for us, we're hoping to get back there. The expectation for you is that you're going to be back
Right.
there. We're hoping that we can claw
Yeah.
our way out of losing 10 out of 11 or
Right.
wherever we are right
Let's
now.
hope.
But I do think we were saying this. The NL is the tougher of the two.
Yes.
And like getting to the NLCS is going to be harder. And
Right.
whoever comes out of that on top, that's going to be a really tough team for any AL team to
Yeah.
not beat. The AL has some very solid teams, but the competition leading into that, the NL is stacked. a
I
little
love
bit.
you saying that though, because honestly, I've gone through so many playoffs with the Dodgers, and it's hard when you have to admit that you're just not the better team. Like it's good baseball, but you know you just don't have that edge, and you're like, oh, okay, well, fine, and it's frustrating. But yeah, it's kind of like,
But also when you get to the playoffs, it's not always who's the best team. It's who's hot, who's on
Right,
fire.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And who's going to perform tonight?
Right.
Because there's so many variables. I mean, who's going to feel good? Who's going to have it? Who's going to get up there and really have it tonight? And sometimes I feel like the minute they step up to the plate, I already know what's going to happen because it's like they either have it or they don't.
Yeah, when Freddie stepped up to the plate and I saw him just look where he was going to hit it, I knew something good
Yep.
was going to happen.
and I heard a lot of Yankee fans saying that to us
Yep.
this weekend.
Yeah.
Like when Freddie came up,
They
we
knew.
just knew. We stopped even listening, and we just
Yep.
knew because and I'm like, oh
Yeah.
man, I knew too, and it was so good.
no,
And especially with the Dodgers, that last, it was just like one after another getting up at bat, and these names, and it's
I
just
know,
like,
I
God,
know.
it never ends. But I feel like we have a lineup now like that. We
Not
just
right
have
now.
to perform better. I feel like we have a really good
No,
lineup.
we can,
have
for
to.
sure. And I do think the cool thing about our playoff run last year is that we were hot. Like we
Yes.
came in hot and we took down teams that we probably weren't supposed to beat. But it was about who was hot at the right time. And the Mets also love to just like induce cardiac arrest a lot. So
Yes.
like wait until the 8th inning to have like any sort of positive movement. And
Yeah.
you're like, we could have done that in like the
Right.
3rd.
I'm telling
Make
you,
it easy.
I was at Katie's house when Pete Alonso hit that 3-run home run against the Milwaukee Brewers.
Yeah.
And both of us were just like, I'm like, Katie, get in here, because she was like tending to the dog or something. And it was like, we actually like staring at the television, like that didn't just happen, right? Like there's
But
something's
also
going on.
being like, don't look at your phone. Put your
Yep.
phone away because
Yep.
you don't want to get the update because sometimes the TV's like
Yeah.
30 seconds or
That
45
was
seconds
so
late.
exciting.
Turn your phone off. Turn
I
the
know.
notifications off. I can't look
Yep.
at that. I don't want to know.
Yep.
So
Can you tell me about Grimace? Because I remember hearing about it like
was at the
crazy
Grimace
last
game.
year in the family group chat, and I'm like,
were
what
at
is
the
this?
Grimace game?
Then you
I
guys
was
are
at the
telling me
Grimace
that it's
game, yeah.
Justin. So can you please tell me about Grimace, and is Grimace around still?
Grimace, we were at the Grimace game last year.
I think Grimace was a 2024 thing.
Yeah.
Can
Grimace
we
and-
explain what Grimace is? Because I have no idea.
so do you know who Grimace is? Like outside of the Mets?
No.
Grimace was the McDonald's mascot.
Purple. Yeah.
right?
He's the big purple.
Oh,
What was
okay.
he, like a chicken nugget? Like what was he?
He's just purple.
Oh, he's not like a chicken nugget or something.
He looks like a
Well,
purple-
hopefully it's not a purple
Like a-
chicken nugget.
I don't know.
McDonald's had a campaign where they had a cast of characters, and like it was a bunch of
The hamburger.
characters alongside
yeah, I
of
remember
Ronald
this.
McDonald.
Okay.
And Grimace was just like this purple blob,
Okay, that's what Grimace
amorphous
is.
object.
It's true.
But he was bringing them
It's
luck,
true.
right?
Yeah.
He threw out the first pitch to a game that we went to, and the Mets were in the midst of a dismal season.
That's correct.
And that was the beginning of the Mets winning 75% of their games from that point on in
Okay.
the season.
Also, I just want to point this out. Murph, my younger brother, also a big Mets fan, was booing Grimace throwing the first pitch out. And every time they showed him on the Jumbotron, Michael's like, ew. And then Michael became like Grimace's,
Yes.
spokesperson.
She turned things around.
Am I also correct about this? Was that also branded him a bobblehead night or was that a different night?
Good question. I don't know.
We all, because there was a night that we got Brandon Nimmo bobbleheads. It was like his City Connect bobblehead. It might have also been the Grimace game. They were around the same time, maybe.
I don't remember going to the Grimace game. I might not have gone.
You were
would
at the
know.
Grimace
Did
game.
you watch the big purple blob throw out the first pitch?
The purple chicken nugget. You missed that one.
Purple chicken nugget. No, I ate that.
But then Grimace kept coming back because that was the start of them winning a lot of their games.
It was huge.
And then he like came back and started doing like, meets like at the stadium. He was like show up at places. And so people started wearing Grimace costumes to the stadium.
Right.
It was just a sign of good luck. And so t-shirts start getting made with Grimace on it because, you
Yep.
I
jump
know.
on
I'm
what's
already
hot.
like, do I need to do a purple Grimace
Yeah.
sequence thing?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
It was really funny. And then this season, it hasn't been as much of a thing. But last year, the Mets, the vibe of the team was pretty, after the Jorge Lopez throwing the glove thing, after that,
That was against us.
yeah, the vibe got much better after that. Then OMG, that song came out by
Yes.
Jose
yeah.
Iglesias, and then
Yep.
Grimace. And so the team
And
was
then
just having
as
so
we
much
got into the
fun.
postseason, then it was the Pete Alonso pumpkin patch.
Oh,
the
yeah.
pumpkin.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
I know.
there was
So many things.
And they
vibe
also
of
were
the
the
boys
t-shirt
gotta
out of
focus
that,
a little
too.
Maybe
more.
they need a little more luck than we need.
no, the vibes
Well,
were good.
Maybe.
It was fun. It was fun to be part of a team that in the beginning of the season, we genuinely were like, this is not
Yeah.
happening.
Yep.
And then they made it all the way through up into the NLCS.
What
and we're
did
playing
Gary Cohen
exciting
say?
games.
From 0-5 to OMG. God, I'll never
I
forget
also love
it.
that. Is it Timmy Trumpets?
Oh, yeah. Edwin Diaz's like
I
song.
love it. I'm
Yeah.
obsessed. And the
Yeah.
game
Oh.
that he actually came and played the trumpets for his walkout.
It was a Dodger game, actually. And when Mr. and Mrs. Met come out and pretend
Yes.
to play the trumpet, the Dodgers manager was laughing. They
It
showed
was
him the dugout
amazing.
laughing. Yeah, he was getting a
I've
big
watched
kick out
it
of
on repeat.
I have to tell you, it is the most amazing thing to watch him come out of the bullpen or whatever you call it onto the field, to watch Edwin Diaz come out in the trumpets. I've only seen it live a few times, and it's amazing.
Has he
I
kept
love
that song?
every second of it.
Yeah,
Yes.
he's kept that song. Yeah, and then Lindor also had like a Temptation song as his walk-up song. And then during one of the playoff games, the Temptations came and they sang, and so
Yeah.
it was just like cool stuff that they did last year. That was really fun.
And he
it
still
was
plays
great.
it because the fans like it so much. The music stops and
Even
the fans
Dodger fans like
play.
it.
Yeah.
I'll show you later.
Yeah.
Well, one of the voices you hear back there is my cousin Evan. So let's bring Evan in.
Okay.
Uncle John and Evan, come
You're
on
gonna
up.
stay?
I'm gonna let Shay out.
Okay.
Shay's a paid actor, by the way. Just like hanging out on the side.
Round 2. Now we have Uncle John back, and Evan is Uncle John's son and my cousin. Big Mets fan.
This
How
is
you doing,
true.
Ev?
Yeah, I'm okay. I'm on a Dodgers podcast right now.
Do you like my podcast?
No, I like your podcast. I don't like the Dodgers, but I like your podcast. It's fine.
All right, that's fine. Well, you guys have some pretty amazing stories of going to Mets games, and there's one that you know is my favorite, and you know I want you to tell it, so let's hear it. Tell me the flip-flop story. I think Uncle John's got to start us off.
Okay, so Evan and I, so I wear flip-flops sometimes, and when I drive, I take one flip-flop off. So I
Very
can operate-
California of you.
Yes. All right, and so we arrive at Citi Field, and one of my flip-flops somehow escaped the car. So I have just one. Okay, and Jacob deGrom is pitching that day, and Katie and Michael, Evan's cousins, my nephew and niece, are meeting us at the stadium. So Evan's pretty young. I mean, you were 15?
Let's see, 2021. That sounds about right. Probably
So you're the
16.
youngest cousin.
Yes, I am.
Wow. Okay.
I send Evan into the stadium and say, "This is not your, I'll deal with this."
Did
okay.
you try and get in with one flip-flop and they turned you away?
No, it was too hard to walk on the pavement. Okay. All right. Yeah. And so I just, that wasn't happening. I looked all over the car. I looked underneath everything. I'm like, Evan, just go inside the stadium. Okay, so
Wait, you
here's
forgot
the
the
kicker.
part. You forgot the part where you stopped at a gas station at some point, and we think that's where the flip flop got lost.
Wait, we think,
It's
okay,
unclear, but we think it's where the flip flop got
We
lost.
stopped at a gas station on the way to gas up, but we also got rid of like some Wendy's garbage. And so
And you walked out of the car barefoot?
no, so I opened my door briefly, and then Evan says, "I got it."
Because
And he
remember,
put it
guys,
through
in
it
New
out.
Jersey,
you don't
you don't pump your gas, so you don't get out of the car.
you don't get out of the car. But Evan, we were getting rid of some Wendy's garbage, I think. Okay, but Evan offered to do it, but I had my door open for the flip flop. Must have jumped out of the car at that brief opportunity. So here's the kicker, though, and maybe Evan should tell this part.
Yeah.
All right,
I mean,
Ev,
I was
take
not
over.
about to like miss a DeGrom start, like because you needed to get new shoes or whatever. I don't know.
Which is what I did.
But yeah, it was DeGrom day against the Rockies, so I just head into the stadium, and it's like the first inning when I get there, and Ryan McMahon is up, and so I'm walking up to like meet Katie and Michael. We're sitting like high, like 500 section, and McMahon hits a foul ball, and I notice it coming my way, and it like hits off some like barrier, and I catch it, and I was like, that was pretty cool, and yeah, so I go up to Katie and Michael when I get up to our actual seats, and I'm like, hey, I got this ball. And they're like, that was you?
Meanwhile, we're over on the side like, oh, that was cool. That kid just caught a foul ball. And 5 seconds later, Evan walks up, and I'm like, Evan's like, I have this foul ball. I'm like, we just watched you. We just saw that happen because it happened like the section over from us, like right in front of us.
That's
and we were
so
like,
funny.
Cool for that kid.
And then you're like, where's your dad? And we're like,
And you're doing
spine
what?
shoes.
So I get in the car and I drive to Flushing, okay, because there are a lot of street vendors there, and I'm hoping to be able to buy a flip flop from a street vendor without actually getting out of the car, and but none of them had flip flops. So I go to like Foot Locker, and I'm like,
Are you barefoot? Are you
yeah,
wearing
like I was like, I blew out one of my flip flops. I can't wear it. Can you just let me in the store? And they're like, okay. And they sell me a pair of slides, which I still have.
I'm glad. Let's
That's
stick with the
cool.
slides.
Okay. Yeah, slick with the slides. So the slides are, but you know, the funny part is that Evan gets to meet Katie and Michael, and then after a while, it's like, where's your dad?
So the crazy thing is, like, if it wasn't for the broken shoe, I wouldn't have been walking through the exact section where that foul ball was hit, and I wouldn't have gotten it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And then the next pitch, McMahon hit a homer, so that like kind of like sucked. But
He hit
other than that, it was fine. He hit a homer off DeGrom the next pitch. It was the
Isn't
only
that-
run he let up that day. But
Am I right or wrong? That's the second time you got a foul ball during
yes,
Jacob DeGrom's
it was
start?
like a week after I got the first one. I've gone to like 150 Mets games in my life, and I've gotten 2 foul balls, and they were in back-to-back games.
I've never gotten one.
Yeah,
And
no,
both
it's no,
off
it's
did
like
Jacob
extremely.
DeGrom.
Yeah, well, the first one was like the best pitching performance I've ever seen in my life. It was like might have been April, might have been May of 2021, but it was DeGrom versus the Nationals, and he pitched a complete game shutout, 15 strikeouts, only let up 2 hits. But he got 2 hits as a batter and like 3 RBIs or something. Like this was like
Crazy.
peak. Like I think like when DeGrom went down in 2021, we were robbed of the greatest pitching season in MLB history. Like at that point in the season, he had driven in more runs as a hitter than he had let up as a pitcher. It was crazy. And I got a ball from that game off of Trey Turner's bat.
It was
Ooh,
one of
we
the
love
best
Trey
at bats of the game. Yeah. It was. He was fouled off a bunch of pitches, and one of them came towards Evan.
It was actually, it was because it was COVID and the stadium was at like 20% capacity, which made it way easier to get foul balls. Like I was able to like just run to like where the ball was hit, like no one's around, and I could just pick it up.
Man, I was really impressed until you just told me that fact.
Yeah, no. I mean, it's luck
just
anywhere.
kidding.
It's luck anywhere.
I know.
It's
My
not
uncle
me.
caught 2 in the same game, and I can't even get
That's
one. And I'm like,
I
come
know,
on.
We keep trying.
I know. Oh, they have these home run seats, and they're like,
We're gonna do it. We're
We've
bringing
got
gloves,
to.
and we're gonna try.
but they're now, it's like, I almost feel like they interfere. Like people try to get the ball, and like
I
people,
know.
I'm like, what's the line between that? Because I do not want to be that fan.
Yeah, you
No.
don't want to be a Zach
No.
Hampel. no.
Yeah.
I have a friend who's like incredible at getting like foul balls. It's unreal. And
Garrett.
he'll, like,
Shout out to Garrett.
Really?
Garrett.
Shout out
yeah,
to Garrett.
He will
Oh,
like
Garrett
go to
with
the
all
game.
facts.
He like knows every like way to get it. Like he will go before the game. He'll like learn every member of the staff's name. He'll start speaking Spanish to them, so they like throw him up the balls. He has like at least 1,000 like balls from like baseball games. Like it's
Wow.
crazy.
You guys should come visit us in LA when the Mets
know.
play. That'd be so
So
fun.
one time, Garrett and I went to a Mets-Dodgers game. This was in 2019. And unfortunately, because I'm a sellout and want to get a ball from MVP Cody Bellinger, I put on like this Dodgers jersey that he gave me and went over to their side because we were there for BP. And like Bellinger was having like, you know, the best season of his career. He was actually incredible that year. And like he's signing for some kids and Garrett and I are in the back and he makes direct eye contact with me. And I throw him a ball and he just ducks under it. Like he could have caught it. Like he's a pro athlete. He could have caught that and signed it for me, but he didn't. And he's not obligated to, but it's fine. But the problem with that
You were
is
pissed. I remember that.
I was pretty pissed
You were
because
pissed.
that ball had his signature on it.
Right.
Like right before Bellinger, I mean, this was before he really like came up, but Yimi Garcia, reliever, I got his signature like on the left field line. I wanted to get like as many players as I could on the same ball, and I just threw it away over Cody's head.
Wow.
So-
I like your stories of how you became a big Mets fan and your favorite players.
Yeah,
Take
I
us
have
into
some.
that.
I have some weird like favorite players. So like obviously like growing up, I loved like Jose Reyes and David Wright. Like those were like the main guys. But like my first like actual like decided favorite player was Ike Davis, which is weird because Katie already mentioned him, and like that's just such like a niche guy to like come up twice already. But I don't know what it was about him. Maybe the number 29, like something about like Ike Davis made me like him, and he wasn't even good. Like he was like
Justin used to
okay.
heckle Ike Davis like crazy.
He did? What did he do?
I can't say it. I can't say what he used to say to him. That's what being a New York fan is like. Like you're gonna heckle your own guy. Like why are you doing that?
You know,
There's
a
no
fan
reason.
just got ejected from the game yesterday for
Making
heckling
Ketel
Ketel
Marte,
Marte,
right? Yeah.
in a really terrible way.
they brought up like his mom's death in 2017, and he started crying, and they ejected the fan from the stadium.
Oh,
I'm pretty sure he's
mean,
not
yeah.
ever allowed back. Like
That was a
those
Chicago
horrible
White-
Yankee fans that attacked Mookie.
What?
That was a Chicago White Sox fan, so we need to talk to Marine about the Pope getting involved in that situation.
Oh shoot! The Pope's like, "Come on, PR, we can't do this too soon." That's
How
great.
has it been for you, Uncle John, having all this family here that are big Mets fans and getting to go to all the games, and you got season tickets and get to bond with your son and niece and
Well, that was great. I mean, Evan and I went to so many games, and Evan was the one guy who would go with me when the Mets were bad. You know what I mean? A lot of people were, you know, it's August and they're 15 games out. Evan's, I'm up for it. You know, so that was good. But then, you know, he went to college, so we didn't do that anymore. But I didn't get the season tickets anymore. But because I burned a lot of tickets one summer, because really, it's like when they're bad, you know, when they're bad, it's tough to get a put. But that was Evans and my thing for a few years, and it was really nice. It was
Evan's
really
the only person I know that will be getting blown out or we'll be blowing somebody out. Doesn't matter. Evan stays through every single out. I'm like, let's leave like 10 minutes early. We can beat the rush. Not going to happen. Not if you're with Evan.
No.
Evan stays all the way through every single game I've ever been through, which brings me the Wilmer Flores story.
Ooh.
They were at the game.
That's right.
We didn't know that they were at the game. Justin and I were at the game with Michael, and John and Evan were at the game separately. Justin, Michael, and I left the game. That it was in extra innings, and it was just getting too late. And we ended up leaving, I think, in the 10th inning. And Wilmer Flores ended up hitting a game-winning home run after crying, almost getting traded. That whole deal. He hit a home run in like the 12th inning, and they stayed and saw it, and we didn't.
Yeah, we had really good. My boss bought us those seats, and they were right behind. They were like 10 rows behind the Mets dugout. It was nice.
Yeah, that was one of like my best Mets memories of all time. Like that Flores home run was actually nuts.
And it was the day after too. It was the day after he found out he had been traded and started crying on the field.
wow.
Yeah, it was really
sad.
traumatic. Yeah, and then but they ended up keeping him. So because the player he was going to be traded for didn't pass his physical.
My
Carlos
gosh.
Gomez.
Carlos Gomez.
Well,
So everyone got to
before
watch that roller coaster.
before the games used to be so much longer, so sometimes you're like, man, it's really hard. Now they're quicker, but I remember like when something would happen like that, I would get text messages like, please don't tell me you left. And sometimes you're like, I left. You know, it's so frustrating. But
Well,
now
especially
it's
for us
like,
at Dodger Stadium, it's really hard to get in and out of there. So unless you leave a little bit early, you're in traffic for an hour.
City Field isn't much different, to be honest with you. It's the traffic in LA is worse, but the City Field, it's not ideal. getting from here to Queens.
It's very difficult. And it gets worse and worse all the time. One time we left early. I was with Evan and Grandma. Okay, it was 2016, so she was 86. Okay, and it was extra innings, but she loved Curtis Granderson. She loved him.
Well, he was a Yankee too.
It was a critical game. The Mets are fighting for a playoff spot. They did make the playoffs that year, but it was extra inning game. Curtis Granderson tied the game up in the 9th and then won it in the 12th. We missed them win it in the 12th. We heard it on the radio.
Yeah, that was too bad.
You
Evan,
used to
what's your-
bake cookie cakes with Grandma.
I did.
Did she also always have baseball on?
Yes, like almost every time. So it was, I would go to her house after school and we would bake and we would either watch Match Game 73 or we would watch like whatever baseball games on TV. And that's when I found out she was like low key a Yankees fan, and that always like rubbed me the wrong way. Like, but it was like whatever. Like,
She
Yeah.
she came out of the closet when my dad passed away because she pretended to be a Phillies fan.
Oh, love.
Yeah.
That's funny.
That's-
Actually, I never thought about that, but she did start being open about her love of Aaron Judge
but
and
it
the
was
Yankees.
after Grandpa died.
no, that's
She loved
absolutely
Kaz
true.
Matsui too. She loved not Kaz Matsui,
Hideki.
Hideki Matsui. Correct. Kaz Matsui was a Met.
Evan, what's your worst Mets memory that you were in the stadium
Okay.
for?
That's a good
Think
question.
about that.
All right, so I've been to a few like pretty bad games. There was a Mets Dodgers game that we all went to in 2021, I think. It was when the fan brought the laser pointer and started putting it in like Diaz's eye and stuff. And the Mets were like leading late in the game. And then Will Smith just comes up and
Ooh,
it's
we
like
love him.
2 or 3 run homer. It was like bottom of the 8th, and it was just like, fuck, man, like it's over. And like all the Dodgers fans, sorry, but like all the Dodgers fans were such douchebags afterwards. Oh my god, I remember walking like out of the stadium, like going down the stairs and stuff, and just like yelling and flipping off so many Dodgers fans, and it's just like, oh, dude, I would like have. There have been few times where I've been that mad at a game. The most recent postseason, I think it was Game 3
Yeah, didn't
of
you
the
guys just
NLCS.
go?
Yeah,
You went to it.
Mets Dodgers. Ohtani leads off the game with a homer because of course he did, and then Vientos ties it in the bottom of the first. And I was like, okay, good. This is
It's a
hype.
game.
This is a game. And then the Mets are suddenly down like 7-1, and it just sucks. Like I'm just like I'm
The Dodgers
freaking
are
out every
ridiculous.
time they score. I'm just like freaking out. Like being in the playoff atmosphere, like. It's just like something comes over me. It's like terrible. And
I
there's
feel
also
you.
Were
there's
there a
also
lot of
insane-
Dodger fans there?
Yeah, not like
Not like
Not like a
high
regular season game,
percentage.
yeah.
No. It
When
was
When we
probably,
went to the Philly series,
Oh,
there were a lot of Phillies fans.
We travel well.
Yeah, that
In
makes sense.
there
think-
were the Philly series. I remember thinking there were a lot more visitor fans than the Dodger series, but I think that's just because Philadelphia is an hour and 20
Right.
minutes away.
Totally.
So
And TT, I think you might be the only person that I've heard that doesn't really love Shohei Ohtani. Is it just because he won MVP over Lindor?
It's not that he won MVP over Lindor. I don't think that that his role should be considered for the MVP because he's not playing both sides. He's not a batter and on the field.
He was
So I
just a
think-
DH last year.
He was just a DH. So I think, and as good as he is, you know,
That's fair.
I'm never a huge fan of the big names.
Okay.
Not even Juan Soto when we were fighting to get him in the offseason. I'm like, all I want is Pete Alonso.
Yeah, how did you
All I
guys
want
feel
is
about
Pete
Juan
Alonso.
Soto?
I was
I didn't-
obviously ecstatic.
And
Like,
see, I
come
wasn't.
on.
And Michael, you know, and we were in a group text, and it's just every time they would go crazy over Juan Soto, I was like, yeah, but what about Pete? But I'm sure Shohei is great, and I'm just not going to give him a chance. But I don't think you should get the MVP if you're just a DH. I think you gotta, what's the expression? Put on the glove.
He's so
See-
incredible
Well,
to
he
watch,
is
though.
pitching now.
Yeah.
And what he does, even just as a DH, is pretty damn incredible.
Yes.
but when you think most valuable
And that's
player,
why he won.
right? But when you think most valuable player, in my opinion, last year the Mets are not getting to the playoffs without Francisco Lindor, I think the Dodgers could have still gotten to the playoffs without Ohtani. And he was not the MVP of the NLCS.
Valid point.
He was not. So, like, I
Yeah,
think
so
there are
stacked.
enough good players
He
on.
didn't even make the All-Star team. Francisco Lindor. Like that's
Yeah,
he
that
did-
was
that
unreal.
yeah.
It is
But
different when you're watching Shohei everyday play. It really is. He is different. He's
Yeah.
different than
So-
everybody else.
Or even
the
what
way
he-
the bat comes off.
Yeah.
The ball comes off his bat.
Even him, like the simple, like looking at every coach and like saying hello and saying hi, and like the respect. And then after going to Japan, it made us even understand him more, because it's like, it's just this. And I say this a lot, like we haven't had a team really since like what the Yankees were, and like that role model kind of energy, and like the role models that like him and Freddie and Will Smith, and it's like the youth. I remember being a little girl, like just obsessed with Derek Jeter, and more so of like how he played. And I'm a little girl on the West Coast, and it's like Ohtani brings that energy of like, man, there's little kids that are just looking at him like in awe. And I just think that that's so beautiful for baseball.
So yeah, I used to really like Ohtani for like all those reasons.
Used to.
Like, so Ohtani is probably the best player I've ever seen. And he's like really chill. Like he seems like a good guy. Also, like I love like, you know, an Asian guy is like the best player in the MLB. Like that's really cool.
That's cool.
But then he signed with the Dodgers, and it's just like. It's the Dodgers, you know, like you sign with the best team in the league. Like I'm just not like, I'm pretty indifferent towards him now. Like I don't hate Ohtani. I can't.
I mean,
hate
wouldn't
Ohtani,
you
but,
leave
like,
the Angels if you could?
I would leave the Angels. I wouldn't sign with the Dodgers though.
Where would you sign?
That is a good question. I was thinking if I was Shohei, where would I go?
San Francisco.
I was thinking, I don't know. I like
Not-
me
they weren't
personally,
very
I
good.
would never like want to sign with the team in the league that is clearly like the best team, and then you're the
Why,
best player
though?
joining the best team, because it's just like it's like it's not competitive, you know? It's just like this team's already like way more stacked than everyone else without you, the best player in the league, and it's just like I don't know. That wouldn't do it for me.
But
I would
for
feel
him,
like a
isn't it
sellout.
what they're offering him? Because when I became a Dodger fan, and why I became a Dodger fan, it was how they run their organization and the culture they create, and how they take care of the players on and off the field, how they take care of the wives. Everything they do is thought out. I mean, Roki said, "I want a bidet." They got a bidet, or
Oh, the Japanese toilets.
yeah. So they think of every little thing, and I think that is really important to players.
No, I think that is. I mean, I'm obviously like I don't know like the ins and outs of like what players look into when they're signing with teams and like what the teams are doing for them, and I can't like not in that position. I can't say like anything. Like maybe if I was Shohei, I would sign with the Dodgers, but
But it's also
I just
a team that is willing to do whatever it takes to win.
And I think that's in the end, the goal is like World Series champions.
You think so?
Oh,
You think so?
You would
But
think.
no, they're not doing everything
They
on
don't.
their power to win. When people complain about the Dodgers spending money, it's more like stop looking at them and look at your team and ask your owners, why aren't you spending money? I think you guys are happy that you have a new owner that is doing that,
Right.
but not every team is.
yeah, no, there are teams that genuinely do not try to win. There are plenty of teams in the league. I mean, there are plenty of teams whose entire payroll is less than Shohei, like what Shohei is making per year. Actually, well, no, because Shohei's making $2 million a year, but less than like what Soto's
Well, we went to
making a
Japan
year.
and he's on every billboard and every commercial.
He's
and
like
every
Superman.
taxi.
I mean,
Like,
that's
he's
the
doing
reason.
just fine.
That's why they got Yoshi and Roki
Oh, well,
and
I mean,
like
in addition to his baseball salary, he
Yeah.
yeah, he doesn't need this house. So that's also part of the thing. The structure of Shohei's deal is just like I really don't like. I'm like a Dodgers hater, and I'm like coming on this podcast to like hate on the Dodgers, but like I really like the deferred money. Like it's not against the rules, and like I like the players' union and all that, but like man, like I just
How much did you guys,
700
how much did
million
you
only.
guys pay?
We didn't defer any money for, well, the Mets
It's
did
okay,
not
we
defer
call them our
any.
boys,
The
yeah.
Mets did not defer any money for Soto. It's $765 and it
Is
can
that
get
smart though
It's
for an owner to do that?
I mean, if you're worth 17
How are they
billion,
going to build
like,
a
it
winning
doesn't
team
really
around
matter.
him if they're putting all their money in
But
one
if we
player?
don't do it now, we don't pay it now. We still have to pay it. So you're
Yeah.
either going to hurt yourself now or hurt yourself later. They're going to have to pay Shohei that money, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
it's just they're just deferring it, and then at that point, they're still going to be owing Shohei money. Maybe he won't be playing anymore, and they're still going to be owing him that money. So it just depends on your outlook on
So
that.
the reason the Dodgers did that is because it avoids the luxury tax of having a player who's making $70 million every year. Instead, he's making $2 million, and only the $2 million is hitting the payroll, and that's what a lot of people have a problem with the deferred contract. With Soto, yeah, like I think it's like 50, 55, like is hitting the payroll every year, but also Steve Cohen, he's worth like $17 billion. Like it's not gonna affect his life like ever. So like I don't really care. It's not my money. He can pay the luxury tax, like whatever.
Yeah. I mean, in the end, when it comes down to like the business aspect of what it is, it's like hard to connect with that as a fan because sometimes the business choices are like not what we would choose. And it's hard to understand why. I mean, our biggest thing we say with our Dodgers is like, we trust them. Like we trust the organization and there's got to be a bigger reason. And we kind of just go with that.
Dave Roberts really liked when we told him that.
Yeah, he loved the word trust.
Well, let's get off the Shohei Ohtani talk and maybe wrap it up with bringing Katie back on. Okay. And then you're staying, Uncle John's
I'll
up.
stay.
See you later, everybody.
Also, can we see how cute these things are? Katie brought us this one. From
Was that hard for you to
Mexico
buy?
City.
Oh,
And
only
then the
for
Mets.
you.
Look how beautiful this is.
I know.
Cool.
So cool.
Yeah, in a market in Mexico City, I just happened to walk past it, and I was like, I couldn't believe that they had Mets and Dodgers stuff. I actually
Did you
wanted to
ever
get us
like put the
both
hat on
balls,
it?
but they didn't have Dodgers baseball. They only had the hats.
I love it.
It's
So,
beautiful.
Yeah, the guy, it was really nice, and he like talked to me for a while about it. It was really cool. So, market in Mexico City for the win.
We'll tag them so maybe.
Yeah,
if people
I'll
are
find the
busy,
guy's
maybe
name.
they'll find
He was
him.
really nice. So,
But we share some players, or we have some former Mets. So I'd love to talk a little bit about the Mets current team and the Dodgers current team, and we're really struggling with Conforto. So
Yeah,
Yes.
you gave me a little
can
insight
you
on
tell
that.
us a little bit about your experience with him?
So Conforto came out of the gates in 2015. Like he wasn't quite a September call-up, I don't think. I think he was like a midsummer call-up, but he was good, like right from the start, and he was great in the playoffs. And he was pretty much consistently solid, like All-Star 2017, that was his best year. 2019, he was great. That was a 30-homer year. And he was pretty much, in 2020, the COVID year, he was like our MVP. And then 2021, he just falls off a cliff. Like he is like putting up like very average offensive numbers. And then he has Boris as his agent. And after the season, before the season, the Mets offered him, I think, a long-term deal that would have been like $25 million a year.
it was around $25
It was a
million.
really nice deal for
Yep.
Conforto. And Boris, as greedy as he is, he just did this with Pete Alonso, screwing him out of a lot of money, except Pete's having a great year, so he might make more after.
yeah.
But he turns that down, and then afterwards, Conforto has the worst season of his career and is still seeking a long-term deal, and then like no one really wants to sign him. And then this injury comes up in the offseason, and he has to take 2022 off completely, and he's just making no money. He's not even on a team, and he finally comes back to baseball, and he just looks kind of like a shell of the player he once was.
Well, he did hit a 3-run homer last night, so we're really happy for him about that. But it has been struggle city, and our
It's been
Dodger
really
fans
hard.
are like, get him out of here.
I mean, I love Conforto. I always
Yeah.
have. He has one of the prettiest swings like I've ever seen.
and he's like a calm presence.
Yeah.
Like he has a good demeanor.
He's a solid guy.
I haven't been bit by the bug yet with him. Like, I don't want him to do bad at all. I'm not rooting against him, but I can't fake the passion behind a player, and he just hasn't done it. But you did say something like he's kind of just a even keel kind of guy,
he is.
and I guess that's what I'm getting from him. And then on top of it, he's like not really playing that well. So at this point, it just feels flat, and it's really hard to get revved up. But I want him to do well. I keep wishing him well. I mean, yesterday in the episode, I had saw that he did a diving catch, and I was like, all right, good for him. I mean, he's still trying to do it. And then he hit a 3-run home run. So
He got the seeds,
But,
he's probably
yeah.
feeling left out.
I know. The one time he did hit a home run and he went back and Kike like threw seeds at him and they were so pumped. And I was like, okay, our boys are behind him. I can get behind him too.
Yeah.
And then I just can't.
I mean,
Yeah.
he's just like an all right ball player at this point. The Mets and the Dodgers have like a lot of like shared players throughout history. Like
I know. Who
Bonda,
else can you think of?
Bonda came up with the Mets. So I remember
You were talking crap about him last night.
So, okay.
Why?
The
That the
reason
Dodger
I
fans are
think-
obsessed with him,
the reason I
especially the
think
ladies.
Bonda is really okay. So the
They're
reason I think
obsessed. When he
Bonda is
comes out of the
kinda
bullpen,
weird-
Dodger Stadium goes crazy.
Really? For
Yeah.
Anthony
So,
Bonda?
well,
Yeah,
our
because he
World
took his-
Series,
he took
him
his
and
shirt
Kike
off
were
in
shirtless
the
in the
champagne.
front.
Okay, so I remember, I think this was his MLB debut, and I believe it was Mets Reds in 2021. Jesse Winker was like being a douchebag. Like, he was on the Reds at the time. Like, this is when Mets fans hated him. And Bonda just comes in. I think there might have been runners on, but there were definitely runners on when the game ended. And he gets the save by like the skin of his teeth.
Yeah.
And after the game, he's like sitting in like he's fielding questions. I think he was with Aaron Loop, and they both have like beer on the table, and he's just like, yeah, men like to have beer and like whatever. And I was just like, this guy's like kind of weird, you know? I don't know. But he always like rubbed me in an interesting way. And then I never hear his name for like 4 years, and suddenly he's on the Dodgers, and he's like a high leverage reliever.
Would you like to know what
it's
happened,
crazy.
actually?
Yeah.
It's a pretty good story. So he didn't think he was ever going to play again, kind of lost the fuel, and then started coaching kids. And really started loving it, and they
Saw
made
the
him
passion in
fall
them.
love with
Yeah.
baseball again. And then he got picked up by the Dodgers. I think he was 31, and now he's a fan favorite.
Yeah, he has really
Well,
turned his career around.
Sometimes he's been doing pretty well. There was a time
With
where
his
he was
shirt off,
pitching.
he's a fan favorite.
Yeah.
Relieving is a tough position.
You also had Justin Turner for a little bit.
We had Justin Turner for a little
He
bit.
we
came up with
love
the
and are
Mets.
still
Yeah.
sad he's not with us
Yeah,
anymore.
we loved him
On the
too.
team.
He wasn't there for that long, but we
Yeah.
but we
clarify
loved him.
that.
But we also were missing out on the most important.
Billy
Who?
McKinney,
No, that's not what I was gonna say.
Adrian Gonzalez.
Oral Hershiser was a Met for like 15 minutes.
I love that you're bringing him up.
Oral was a Met for like 15 minutes. We loved him. I mean, he was a Met for like a little bit. We'll take it.
Yeah. Adrian Gonzalez, he was one of my favorites. Mariachi, crazy loco, first baseman, veteran energy.
How long was he on the Mets?
1 year. It was like it might have been the final year of his career. It was like bounce around tail end of the career, just like, all right, I'll sign with the Mets for a year and then I'll be done, kind of thing.
Oh, I
think that was
Adam has the mic
2017.
back there.
One of the more famous Met Dodger crossovers is Mike Piazza.
Yes.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I
Yeah.
hate to admit
forget
that
Yeah.
He was at Fanatics.
I hate
Yeah.
to admit that Piazza was unfortunately at his peak on the Dodgers and not on the Mets.
It was kind of sad to see him leave.
his MVP
Mostly because
season
he's very
was
beautiful.
You think so?
We love Mike
Yes.
Piazza on the Mets. Love
I
him.
mean,
course,
love Will
yeah.
Smith, but like, man, those catchers just keep getting smaller. And
I know you
smaller.
guys are Dodger haters, but watching them during the NLCS, did you at least appreciate the small ball or that they're good guys or anything like
Hell
that?
no. It was all like
You don't have to answer that question.
Absolutely
positively.
not.
I
No, I'll
also want
answer
I
it.
just want to point something out. You didn't win because the guys on the team are better people than the people on the Mets. They won because they were better baseball players.
I
than the
know,
No, but it
players.
helps
I was
when they're
just-
both. It helps when they're both.
But the Mets players are
I
good
like some of
people.
the Mets players.
Yeah, the
and
Dodgers
they're
and
good
Mets-
people
You just
I
said that
think
Jesse
both
Winker was a
mostly-
douche.
No.
I don't think Jesse Winker is a
there's
bad
gonna-
person,
come on,
but he
aren't
is
there
kind
gonna
of
be on both sides.
seems
There's gonna
kind
be
of
some guys
douchey.
you're like, don't. But like Jesse brings that passion. He can be a little, it's a lot for some people, for sure. We've seen it. We've been against it.
I love him.
But like,
I
I've seen
love
him on the
now.
Reds. I thought he was a douche
and
when
we
he was
have
on the
had
Reds.
bias for a while, so you get like, we know what that's like too. He, whatever. But you won because your team was better than us. That's what it comes down to.
So
Yeah.
with the small ball and all that, I did not appreciate it. I was actually very frustrated when like they would steal all over us
Yeah.
all series because
great.
no one can hold runners on the Mets.
Correct.
Like it was
Yeah, it's not good.
that series was actually like that. It made me really sad. But
Yeah.
it's okay.
Aw.
Yeah.
But the only time you guys get to root for the Dodgers is when we
Against
play
the
the Yankees. So at
Yankees,
least we
yes.
were all rooting for them.
And
in
I
the World
also
Series.
will
was,
say,
yes.
I also have seen the Mets beat the Dodgers in the playoffs in 2015.
True.
I watched a 12-3 rout of the Dodgers in person at Citi Field, sitting next to the home run apple. That in a 12-3 game, that home run apple was going up and down a lot. So like, we're gonna be on both sides of that for however long. Like, it's gonna happen. And so we also beat the Cubs that year.
Yep, I was
By
about to
the
say,
way.
don't forget that we
Yeah, we
swept
beat
you
the Cubs
guys.
that
I was
year,
at
too.
game one.
Yeah.
I didn't forget.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
good.
We're just keeping you honest over there.
No, I was definitely a Dodger fan for like a week and a half.
Wait, say that again?
I was definitely a Dodger fan for like a week and a half against the Yankees.
Wait, one more time?
Game 1, like when Freddie hit the homer, that was actually a beautiful memory because
Tell us your memory.
because I had like just got home to my apartment at Syracuse, and my apartment's just full of like one of my roommates is a Yankee fan, so it's just full of Yankee fans. There's like 6 like guys all in Yankees gear, and I got in during the 9th inning, and bases are loaded, and they bring in Nestor Cortez, and like I don't want to be like a dick in front of them, but like I'm like, wow, it'd be awesome if Freddie hit a walk-off homer right now, and just first pitch gone off the bat. That was like a nuke. It was like frozen rope, like dead silence after that. Like I think I whipped out my phone right away and just like started recording them, and they're all just like
Oh, I can't wait to see that.
dead silent. It was
Can
beautiful.
I ask you two a question?
Yeah.
So the Dodgers are a very good team. They've been good for a long time. The Mets, heartbreaking. I could tell you 40 million heartbreaking stories of things I've either seen in person or watched on the internet. What is your worst Dodgers memory? Like something that like you walked away either like heartbroken or like it hit you. And I'll tell, while you're thinking, I'm going to tell a story. My brother Justin and I, Matt Harvey got hurt, and he came back, and Matt Harvey was a great pitcher back like 2015, 2016, whatever. And he got hurt, and he came back, and Justin bought us seats behind home plate. And I'd never sat behind home plate before. And so we go up, and we sit down, and this whole fanfare, and the Dark Knight, everyone had like the face masks, because he was the Dark Knight, and so they had like the Batman masks. So we're sitting behind home plate, and I think all of this fanfare, and he's like, strike, strike, strike. And then Chase Utley just pops a home run off of him in the first inning, and we lost it. It was horrible. And that wasn't like such a horrible memory. I've been to worse games than that. But like that, the excitement of sitting behind home plate and the whole deal. And it was Matt Harvey's coming back, and everyone loved the Dark Knight and this whole big thing and blah, blah, blah. And and then Chase
So that
Utley
was the start of your hate of Chase Utley, because you were
Dude.
going off about how much
I
you hate him last
hate
night.
hate Chase Utley.
Chase Utley. One of my least favorite baseball players of all
we
time.
hate Chase
I think
Utley. He
my
was just
it's
like-
probably like Bryce Harper, Garrett Cole, Chase Utley, like in that order probably.
Yeah.
It was just the 2015 NLDS, like breaking Ruben's leg, not cool, not necessary. We'll never like him.
The top of my dislike list.
And he's
But also, we
probably-
hated him before that because he was the Phillies like
Yes,
guy
he was,
for like
100%.
years.
He was a
So
Philly,
like,
come on. But we're not talking about him as a person, but as a baseball player, can't stand the guy.
yeah, absolutely.
And I had choice words for him
Man.
last night. I have choice words for him.
He was
Not
such a
fan.
veteran energy for us, and like he was Kike's dad, so like we just couldn't hate him.
And he's
No,
so
that's
cute.
fair. But he also probably hasn't done the things.
No, totally.
Right, like he was a Philly for a long time, and like Freddie Freeman, Chase, they were Mets killers. Like it's hard to get behind somebody when you're like they're coming up and just destroying your
So,
team.
do you want to know my heartbreak?
Yes, I was so
Oh, yeah.
desperately, so
Okay.
desperately.
2017 losing to
Oh, yeah.
a team that cheated.
Yeah, that sucks.
Because to be honest, there's not. Like I said, I have no problem admitting when I'd be watching. I'm like, the Dodgers are just not it. They're not the better team, and that I don't think we're gonna win. And I guess I just never really. I love baseball, honestly, and I never really held that against anyone specifically. We've always had pretty good teams and things like that. That was the biggest heartbreak.
I mean,
But
that's
we didn't
like
know at the time that they were cheating. But
Yeah.
I do remember moments of like, wow, they're really getting us good.
But even
so
that-
it
the-
like, really made sense. And also, I have such a protection of Kershaw, and I
Yeah.
just love him so much that I was so sad for him.
Yeah, we didn't know, but just the presence that we had in 2017 and thinking we were going to win and all this, and it was like it was an emotional World Series run, and then to lose after not winning for so long. I mean, we hadn't won since '88, you know, and so you think
By
it's
the
your
way,
year.
we still haven't won since '86. So yeah,
So you get it. So when you're almost there, it's like,
yeah, and
Yeah.
You know,
let's-
both of us were born in '88 when the Dodgers won the World Series. So we have a lot of
That's
special
actually-
connections
that's kinda
with the
nuts.
Dodgers. But my worst memory, because I was there, the Dodgers are a winning team, and we've been in the postseason now for 14 seasons, which also is crazy because that's how long I've lived in LA. when we would make it like so far and then lose to teams we're better than. I was there watching Kershaw get beat up by the Diamondbacks and literally getting into fights with our fans who are booing him.
Yeah.
That was so tough to watch because all I want is for him to succeed, go out on his own terms, and to see our fans hating on him after all he's been through. And he lets up 6 in the first inning, and it just was miserable to watch. That is my worst.
It's like
memory.
that's like a Tom Glavine.
Because especially
when he gave up
I
7.
was there and I paid a lot of money to be there.
Yep. That's sometimes the hard part. When
I
you're like,
got one of those bats full of beer and just drank it.
Yeah. We can't like no team is like void of heartbreak. Like with the Dodgers, like yeah, they just won the World Series. They won in 2020, but like you're in the playoffs like every year, and so like watch them go down. Like that sucks. Like that is like I mean that's worse than your team just being a 78 win team and
Yeah.
like just not getting there.
Or when
And-
the Padres beat us
Yeah,
in the
no, that
postseason
is
after
awful.
we
Yeah.
beat them the entire regular
Yeah.
Was
season.
that
Yeah.
when you guys had like 113 wins or something like that? Yeah.
I think we had
like over
111.
110,
Like,
really?
Yeah, no, yeah, 111 sounds right.
Wow.
I think that 111 was against the Diamondbacks, and it
Okay.
might have been
23
113 against
probably.
the Padres, which that was just terrible too. And I think that's why they have this like, oh, I just want to beat them because we've done it before in the times where you really need to.
Yeah. And I think it's the same thing with the Mets and the Phillies have that kind of like rivalry also.
See, I have a soft spot for the Phillies because of our family, but you guys don't seem
do
to
not.
at all.
Oh, hell
I do
no.
not at all.
No.
I do not.
So I don't have a
do
soft
not.
spot for like any
do not.
other baseball team like
No.
in the league. Like fuck the Yankees, fuck the Phillies,
Yeah.
like fuck the Dodgers. Sorry.
Most
Like,
of the
I
time when you
can't,
walk
like,
down the stairs after a Mets win, when we're going down the stairs, you're going
Yes.
to hear fuck the Yankees.
Yankees suck every game.
Time,
Every game.
time.
It
See,
doesn't
we
matter if
hear
the
the
Mets
beat
win or
LA
lose.
a lot.
BLA, yeah.
It
yeah.
really pisses
Oh,
me
I've never seen that in the Mets stadium. Like when we're walking out, it's always Yankees suck.
Yeah,
or,
Yankees
like,
suck every game,
Yeah.
win or lose. And
Yeah.
I'm like always like
Even if you're not
participating
playing
in that. Yeah, no, it doesn't
yeah.
matter. No, almost
Doesn't
every game we're not
matter.
playing.
Do you
them.
guys give
matter.
the Dodgers heat for the 2020 World Series?
So I
don't.
like, yeah, I've always thought that's a pretty legit ring because, like, if a team like the Marlins, who like were like, if they won the World Series that year, that is kind of a Mickey Mouse ring. But the Dodgers were obviously going to be in the playoffs anyway. Also, the playoff format was deeper. There were more teams in it, so it was
Yeah.
actually harder to win in 2020. So
I like this. I just
I've always
think
thought that's a legit
Everyone
ring.
had the same opportunity to win.
Yeah, they
and
did.
one
Yeah.
team won.
They
No,
did.
How can you argue with that?
I don't think you can really discount. I mean, you played a season. It's like a little different than regular, but like we had to make
It was fair. It was fair ground
concessions
for
because
everyone.
it was COVID. Like things happen. You have to make up for what we were dealing with in the world. And
Totally.
so that's what they chose to do. And every team had to play by the same rules. So, it just is what it is. I have no issue with that.
Yeah, I don't
I've
think
never really
that
thought
ring
about
is-
that, to be honest, as like being non-legitimate.
A lot of people like call that a Mickey Mouse ring, and I
They
don't think
do.
it's any less heavy.
And I
than
think
any
that
other World
made
Series
this
ring.
World Series one even more special.
Yeah.
And we finally got to have the parade and all of
Exactly,
those
yeah.
things that
Right,
we didn't get
right.
to have in 2020.
Right.
So that was really cool for us.
It sucks,
And
man.
not even just for the fans, like the players
Yeah,
were
yeah, yeah.
so excited for their
For sure.
parade, and it's like that's so cute because it's like they dreamt of this moment for
I mean-
their whole lives,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it's like they don't take it for granted, and it's really I loved seeing how excited they were for the parade to just be with the fans, and they were pumped for it. That was cool.
Yeah, Kershaw, like Shohei, those are guys like you want to get their ring. Like I think Kershaw is like a top 3 pitcher like of all time. Like
8 strikeouts away from 3,000.
He's
I
pitching
think
tomorrow or
he's
today?
What day is it?
Wednesday.
He's pitching
he's
today.
He's pitching
Yeah.
today. Ooh, I can't wait.
Oh, he could
Hopefully
do
it's
it
not at
today.
10:10.
He's
Probably
got
not,
to
but
start
he
against the
could.
Rockies and the start against the White
Oh,
Sox. Between Rockies
okay.
and White Sox, he can get it.
Congratulations.
You
Wait.
might need to take one for the team and watch Kershaw because I think I'm not going to be there. I'm going to be with my family. We're
Oh
all-
no, I can't do that.
You know Kershaw's way more
got you,
important than
girl.
your family, right?
Well, trust me, she's already like, well, now I'm debating on when to go home. I'm like, settle down, be with your family. Well, I'll handle this one.
I would rather be with you all and go to the game, even though it's a Mets game, to honor Justin with our tradition that we started. And it would be his 42nd birthday, which is his Jackie Robinson birthday.
That
and
is.
he's such a big player. Obviously,
Jackie Robinson Pavilion.
Rotunda. Jackie Robinson Rotunda.
and
Yes,
you know,
yeah.
those are memories that are amazing and we get to remember
Yeah.
forever. And we started this tradition and that's so special. So
And she finished
I'm
her
okay with
first
it.
season on 42 episodes.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's all kind of kismet.
Yep. So things are like falling into place, and I'm looking forward to that game. Are you guys?
Oh,
Katie
I'm
has
excited.
planned it all now.
yeah.
How many people?
As early as they'll let me in.
Guys, it's so much fun to tailgate. We don't get to do that at Dodger Stadium.
Especially a bring your own
Evan,
chair
are you
tailgate.
making the cookie cake or am I?
Dude, cookie cake may be a lost cause.
Why?
Every time I've tried to make it, it's
It's
been
not the same
no.
as
But
Grandma's
actually,
usually
I do have plans to try again with like a different strategy to like make it the way.
I think
Grandma made
yours
it.
tasted more like
It's good.
grandma's than mine did.
It'll be good
Even
because
though
it's
it's
like it's
hard,
all
like the
sugar
clean
and
baking.
stuff. But
You have to try.
Evan
True.
baked with grandma all
did.
the
Yeah,
time.
Evan
I did.
Evan
I'm like
did.
the.
And even though we have grandma's
successor or
recipe, we
whatever.
all have it. That was such a special gift.
Yeah.
From, was it your Auntie T, Aunt Susan?
Yeah.
Do you add peanut butter?
Grandma,
I do. So I
don't
think that's
know the
actually the
recipe.
problem.
Yeah, you know you can add peanut butter.
No. I think the problem is
Adam's trying to-
having
Yeah,
too
I'm
much
like,
peanut butter. I think it makes it too dense,
tell
and I
what
think I
he's
need
trying
to
to say.
tone it back on the peanut butter and add more like milk or something.
But grandma didn't follow a recipe. It was like, oh, a little.
No,
this, a
it
little that.
was.
So,
I think it was partly her oven, which was like from 1940. Like her oven would just get like so hot. Like it was like the most. It was
like
an
just a
old
brick
ass
house.
oven.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was like a pizza oven, and no one else has an oven like that. So-
I mean, everyone
It's
talks about
low-quality
that.
ingredients. Okay,
Yeah.
you're using butter. No, you need to use
Oleo.
oleo.
Oleo,
Okay? All right, you're using some kind of like Pete's, really good peanut butter. No, you gotta get ShopRite peanut butter. Okay, all right. If you use high quality ingredients, it's not gonna work.
I think
Yeah.
that's why. Yeah.
But
100%.
She was a depression baby.
Yeah.
in reality, somebody needs to bring a cookie cake. We're gonna be 40 deep at the July 1st game.
I think I can probably do it.
Yes.
I'll try to make one
We-
with
you
like
know, we can
Lindsay
have a
or
little
something.
competition.
Yeah.
And
Make
Comp.
two?
Let's make it. Let's
if any
make
Mets
it
fans are going to the game
competitive,
on July
yeah.
1st, we're going to be 40 deep, hopefully at a tailgate ahead of time. And
We are BYOC.
BYOC.
Katie sent a long group text, and at the end it said BYOC. Bring your own chair.
I don't have 40 chairs for everybody for the tailgate. I have 40 tickets for all the seats in the stadium. But if you want to sit at the tailgate, you didn't know what BYOC is.
Oh, how could
messed
you not
up.
know BYOC?
Thank you. I
People
thought-
say that all the
I
time.
thought
Yeah.
BYOC was normal. So I'll have a bunch of, snacks and fun stuff, but BYOC, because your girl doesn't have enough seats for everybody. I can buy enough alcohol for everybody. I can buy enough sandwiches for everybody.
Well, it's $5 Tuesday.
It's also $5 Tuesday.
Ooh.
Tuesday, July 1st.
Man, now I have FOMO.
Yeah.
Thank God for Kirsch, or else I would just stay.
They do.
Correction.
Yeah, they're in a couple
What?
of
Kershaw's pitching tomorrow.
Okay.
Okay.
First
That's what I
tomorrow.
thought.
Mid show
Is it
connection.
Yoshi today?
Yoshi
Yeah.
today.
Yoshi.
At the time, because it's
We love Yoshi too.
But we're doing.
I do like
It's
Yoshi.
$5 Tuesday at City Field. There's $5 beers, $5 pretzels, $5 popcorn, $5 things. So we're gonna have some snacks at the tailgate. We're gonna play some tailgating games. I've got all of them. I own every single one. Whatever tailgating game you want, it's in my garage or my basement, and it's gonna be great. So I'm excited about it.
And listeners, don't get mad at me for wearing a Met shirt. I'm only going to wear it because it says Wilson on the back, and that's Justin's last name.
Yeah.
But this has been so special. Thank you guys for coming on. I love you so much, and I'm sorry, but go Dodgers.
Yeah, whatever. The Mets suck
LGM.
anyway. It's like
Any final thoughts, John, back there?
Yeah, let's go Mets. Don't give up.
great.
Is it, they're going through a funk right now. They're going to come right out of it.
We'll see you in the playoffs.
We'll see you in the playoffs.
Hey,
That's
hopefully,
it.
hopefully.
we'll see you in the playoffs.
Hopefully.
You guys will be there. Will we be there? Maybe.
Let's hope so.
That's kind of how it is. Like every
Every
single
year,
year of
yeah.
my life.
Okay, all I need to know though is if you guys are in the playoffs, can I please get looped in on the family group chat?
Oh,
I think Jacqueline's allowed
Absolutely.
in.
We can be an honor.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
you can be allowed in, but we also I think Sam needs to get looped in on the group chat more. Sam's commentary, she doesn't comment enough in the group chat. I like Sam's comments on things because she's just like, she brings in like they look great. Like,
Yeah, she comes to the games for the chicken fingers, and she knows
does.
Will Smith because his name is Will Smith.
Right.
Melissa was like testing her,
Yeah,
and
she's
like
getting too good.
I
Though.
remember that.
I gave her way more people
Oh.
than you realized.
What? You did?
It was funny.
I didn't even know that.
I said, and she went Kershaw, and then you're like, did you remember that? Because it's my favorite player. She goes, uh-huh.
Wow, good acting, Sam.
Yeah, but then I knew if I threw in Rojas, that's when I was
no
like,
way.
she's gonna be like, okay, Jack.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. All fun and games.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for hosting us, Aunt TT. We
Yes.
all end up here watching games all the time, so this was just the perfect setting to do this episode. And thank you all for coming on. And I love you.
Love you too.
You too.
Mets fans
Great.
over and out.
We're
Go
done.
Dodgers.
In October, we'll win one.
Mom can't decide what team she likes. Cubs, Dodgers, Yankees, Mets. She's got all the hats.
I like to call those baseball girlies.
Yeah, that's fair.
A woman of